Hey everyone! Okay, so today's video is gonna be longer, very chatty, but very fun, and hopefully it will just inspire you guys to pick up your sketchbooks and give yourselves permission to play. And for today's sketch session, I'm not only going to be painting one or two paintings, I'm also going to be doing a larger scene across 2 pages in the sketchbook. So feel free to put this video up in the background of whatever you're doing or join me in a sketch session. I hope you guys enjoy this. It's been a while since I've done a little sketchbook session. And I just feel like I've been working on so many videos and projects that are just big and they span multiple days, if not weeks or months. And I haven't done a video in a while where I just kind of like sit down and chill with you all. So I thought we should do that today. And lately especially, I've been doing a lot of sketching at night on the couch, so it's not really conducive to filming. So, you know, my sketching has been a lot more personal, I guess, lately, and I haven't shared it. I've probably shared some of it on Instagram, but who knows if you all have seen it. You probably recognize some of these that I've just flipped through. And I think I showed some of this sketchbook maybe throughout other videos. But yeah, this is the Strathmore, and I've been really enjoying it. The paper is really textured, and it's cold pressed, or cotton, I mean, and it's just really fun to work on with both watercolor and gouache, but I especially like it for watercolor. So today I thought it would be good to just give myself permission to play and do whatever comes to me in the moment. Like medium wise, I have all my materials in front of me. Well, not all of them. I have pencils and pens and ink and all sorts of stuff, plus watercolor, plus gouache. And one thing that I've really been thinking about is that I have an upcoming trip to the West Coast. I'm going on a little road trip, a solo road trip, and I'm gonna be painting and doing lots of photo and video and just tons of sketching. And I really want to figure out what to bring. So since it's been a while since I've done a little trip like that, I want to play around with some materials and see what feels very natural and easy, and just figure out what encourages me to play and just get the pencil moving, because that's sometimes the hardest part. Sometimes I feel nervous to just start because I don't want to mess up, which is a really bad place, bad mental place to be as an artist. So yeah, there's different ways I can get through that, and little sketch sessions like this are one of those. I haven't been streaming as much lately, and I haven't done one of these chatty videos in a while, so yeah, I hope I can actually make coherent sentences. I'm gonna tape this side off, but I think on this side I'm gonna start off with just like a loose sketch. I've mentioned this before, but the easiest way to make your sketchbooks look clean is just taping it off. Once you tape it off like this, you could literally do anything in there. And then once you peel the tape away, it's like this beautiful clean edge. It's very satisfying. So, you know, I wonder if I have any really messy ones in here. Well, I mean, this is kind of an example. This is a super loose gestural painting, but because it's taped off, or that it's clean edged, it just levels up a little bit. So yeah, I don't know if anyone, this is a very loose sketch as well. This is definitely something I would do like when I'm outside. Really loose watercolor with a little bit of ink, and because it's taped off, it just looks very clean and nice and almost like a postcard or something. So yeah, tape this side off, but this one we're gonna start off with just like a loose, playful sketch. And then I think I'll do a little bit in this afterwards. So what are we gonna start with? I think I'm going to start with a little watercolor and then draw or something on top of that. So let's get these loosened up. Should be good. Come on. Gonna clean up this while those get soft. I've been using this old towel for my studio sessions, and it's just covered in paint now, and like I always try to find a clean spot to use, but I need to wash it. It's better than wasting paper towels though. There we go. Perfect. If any of you follow me on Instagram, you may have noticed that lately my sketches have been, the work that I've been sharing has been super vibrant and colorful. And that's because I've been so inspired by the summer colors, spring and summer. So I take a lot of photos every day almost. I go out and take photos somewhere, and I keep them in a folder on my computer based on the date, and then I upload them to my Google Drive so that I can access them anywhere. And all I need to do is scroll through and pick something out, and then I have a little reference on the go. But a lot of times I just do this to kind of get thoughts flowing through my head. I don't really need it to be like a reference I copy. Colors will inspire me, textures will inspire me, and then I start to get ideas and I'm like, yeah, let's do that. Oh, I took a bunch of macro photos yesterday of my plants, and there were like raindrops and just dew everywhere. It was so gorgeous. I don't really want to do anything floral. I want to do like, I'm thinking coast. I just have the coast on my mind. So I think we should do that. Just play with a little sketch, I guess. I think I'll do watercolor to start, because watercolor is just so wonderfully flowy and spontaneous and loose and really fun to do, like watercolor and ink to warm up. And then over here I can do something a little more detailed and maybe gouache. I love gouache in this paper. The sketchbook is the Etcher hot pressed. So I typically don't use hot press for watercolor. I just don't get along with it especially for work that I'm potentially selling, or it's gonna be like in my portfolio or giving to someone. I just don't use a hot press. But just quick little sketches, I think it's totally fine. It's fun, especially when I know I'm starting off with a really like watery, loose wash of color, because it flows really interestingly on hot press paper. I just think it's really useful to sit down with this whole idea of the permission to play once in a while. So like, don't take it too seriously. Don't worry about the outcome. Don't obsess over making something perfect. Just let things flow. I learn a lot that way. It's actually almost like when I'm driving, I let my mind wander, especially if I know where I'm going, if I've gone there before. Like I will end up at the destination without even thinking about it. But as I'm going, my mind is like thinking about it just jumps from thought to thought. It's a very fluid thought process, and I have some really brilliant ideas in that mindset. Same with taking a shower. Those two activities, I get like my best ideas. So this whole kind of mindset, you know, just have fun, let it flow. It happens here too. So I've been trying to figure out a way to do plein air streams. I've done a little bit of that in the past, but it was really bad reception, or I always had issues with it. But I've been scouting out local places. I literally go for a walk with my phone, and every once in a while I stop and I do the speed test, so to see how much download and upload speed I have, especially paying attention to the upload speed, and then mark if it's a really good speed. I mark it on my map. So currently I have about 5 places within walking distance where supposedly I get over 10 megabytes per second upload, which is amazing. That's like almost what I get in my studio most days. So then I've been collecting or gathering materials. So I have an external battery for my phone. I actually figured out a way to hook up my Sony camcorder to my phone and stream from that, which is a super, super high quality camera, which would make the experience much, much better. But if I do that, I can't charge my phone at the same time. So my stream length would be limited to how long my battery lasts. And that's kind of annoying. But is it worth it? Like, you know, even if I was doing it for a half an hour to an hour, would it be worth it? I guess you guys you'd have to tell me. My phone camera isn't terrible. It's actually pretty good, but it's hard to control like the exact angle I need. And with my Sony camera, I can zoom in, I can change the aperture and the ISO and all of that stuff to make it like perfect. So, you know, I kind of have to weigh the pros and cons of that, but it's getting there. I'm almost ready to do a test stream, I think. So I'll probably do a test stream on Twitch just to keep it casual. And then if it works out, I may do one on YouTube. But it would be so much fun. And there's especially this one local spot that I really want to do it in. It's a little river beach type area, just this pretty little spot that we often go sit and have like a little picnic or snack, or, you know, just go sit by the river. Sometimes we balance stones or just watch the sunset there. And it's just relaxing. It's so beautiful. It's inspiring. So we'll see. We'll see. That might be my first spot I try out because, yeah, it's just wonderful there. And actually my thought was to go there and do some rock sketching or rock painting or something, because it's a very chill subject. Very, I really get relaxed when I draw and sketch rocks and paint rocks. So I thought that would be a good subject for a plein air painting. Especially with that, I want to keep casual. So, what else? It's been fluctuating between like extremely warm and very, very cool weather, which is interesting. Like every other day I'm freezing or I'm boiling. little turquoise goodness in this water. And then I'm tilting it up to let it flow because I just want a little action there. So it'll be fun to come back on top of this and do some ink. That's my thought. Maybe some rocks and stuff on this one. Okay, so I'm gonna pause the video, let this dry, and then we'll come back with some ink. Okay, we're back. It's dry, and I have myself some delicious coffee. I don't know if you can see what the mug says, but I guess I'm a cat dad today. Actually, let's keep that over here so I don't spill it. I just have to remember not to dip my brush in my coffee. Okay, so I was thinking when I was downstairs, instead of just going straight into ink, I'm gonna do a little bit of color pencil to see. I can't even really remember what my colors do on top of my watercolors, if they even show up. I think they will because they are the polychromos. Maybe not all of them, but if a couple of the colors work really well, I might consider bringing them. I don't want to bring a lot. Basically, everything has to fit in this pouch with my water and a couple other things, so I have to be choosy. Obviously, I have to go with the turquoise first. Just to see. Yeah, that definitely shows up. Wow, it even shows up on the darker area. Not that I would be using it a lot there, but it's good to know. I wish I had like an ultramarine blue. I have dark indigo, which probably almost looks like a blackish. It actually looks like a blackish purple almost. There, move the camera a little bit closer so you can see. It's just been a while since I've used color pencil, and you know, I could just as easily come back with another layer of watercolor, but I just want to play and just see what happens. See how it goes. That color barely shows up. I probably wouldn't use this on what am I saying? I probably wouldn't use the colored pencils on my cold press as much, although maybe, I don't know. It's just that I know that paper is so textured that it might be really distracting. Well, we'll see. Maybe I'll try that a little bit later. Just playing with the different colors to see if they actually show up. And I'm trying to keep it natural, like what I would be doing if I was outside painting or drawing. Like which colors would I go for in which situation? By the way, I like doing very obvious scratchy marks here and there. It just, for some reason, to me, it just screams play. And it's like evidence that I'm just having fun and being loose, you know? when I look back on this in the future, I'll remember like this free, almost childlike fascination I have with experimenting. I love that. Remember when we were kids and we just didn't give an F? Miss those days. Coffee break. I am gonna do a little more watercolor. I just want to make it pop. Especially the, I want some dry brush. I apologize if I'm like heavy breathing. I think I have allergies for the first time in my life. Ooh, cool, look. If I paint over the watercolor or the pencil, it like kind of resists it. I like that. Sorry. I think I have allergies for the first time ever, and it's not fun. My whole life, I've never experienced it, and I was always around people who had allergies, so I like saw how awful it could be, but I just didn't know what it was like. And it truly is, it's just awful. It's only certain times of year I've noticed, like at the very beginning of spring, I had a lot of I always was sniffly, and it just felt like stuffed up all the time. And now in well actually it's July 1st, oh my gosh. I think the plants are shifting and something is happening where I have those symptoms again. Because it like went away for a little while and then came back, and it was just, yeah, I don't know. Anyways. Okay, so now let's play, ooh. Okay, I'm gonna let this dry for like 3 minutes, sip some coffee, and go find my new pen that I wanna show you guys. Okay, I'm back, and this is my new pen that I am so excited about. And I have a little story about this pen. So if you see here, it says 0.4, but on the cap it says 0.25. And yeah, that's a bit odd, right? No, it was not their mistake. They did not send me a mistake. It was something I did. So I ordered a 0.25, and the day it came, I ripped into the package and I was so excited. And when you get it, the tip has like a protective thing on it. And when you get these pens, they don't have the cartridge installed. So you have to install it. So I undid this. This part is the cartridge, and this is not attached yet. So this was a 0.25 nib. So I had my 0.25 nib, and I was sitting there trying to attach the cartridge, and without even thinking, oh God, I don't even want to tell this story, but I will. So I was pushing the cartridge on, and without even thinking, I go like this, and I press down really hard, and the 0.25 needle. So you see how tiny this 0.4 nib is? Well, the 0.25 is like a hair. It's so thin, it's so tiny. And as soon as I pressed down, it didn't even take barely any pressure. It snapped in half. And I hadn't even used it yet. It was literally like seconds out of the package. And I was just sitting there staring at it like, you idiot. Oh. And they're not cheap. So I went on the website, and I actually realized the second I saw the 0.25, the one that I ordered originally, it was insanely tiny. And I was like, oh no, that's actually too small. So because I had broken it, I needed to order more. And I just decided to go with the 0.4 as like a little bit bigger. And I ordered 2 just in case. So I got the 0.4, installed the cartridge without messing it up. and now I've been using it for a few weeks and I absolutely love it. It's actually the perfect width for what I was wanting. I have plenty of these other pens that are waterproof, like the Uniball Eye Needle Micro, as well as a couple others, but the lines are just a little bit too thick. I like that thickness for a lot of things, but I just wanted something a little bit less, just a little bit thinner. So yeah, the Rotring Isograph has now become one of my best friends. It's so much fun to use and really easy. Hopefully I'll be getting lots of mileage out of that because it is refillable. So as long as I don't, you know, mess it up, break it, whatever, I can use this thing potentially for years to come. I had it stored upright, which meant the ink was having trouble flowing, so I just took a few minutes to like scratch it on a piece of paper, so now it's nice and flowy. So about this upcoming road trip, I am obviously so excited. It's just something I've been wanting to do for so long, basically since we moved here and we've been farther away from the West Coast. I miss the West Coast so bad. I think about it every day. It's not that I think this area is unpleasant or anything, it's just my heart, it's like the West Coast calls to me and my heart aches for it. So I decided I am going to take some initiative and just plan out a little road trip to the West Coast. Not super planned out, like I'm gonna look up a couple overnight camping spots. But if not, if I can't find something or if it's all booked up, because it kind of is like high tourist season, I will just sleep in my car or wild camp. So the one thing I have to consider is the midges right now will probably be pretty bad. So sleeping in my car might be better. I've been on the West Coast in summer before camping, wild camping, and the midges were absolutely horrendous. I actually had to sleep with a midge net all completely covering my face and neck, and then my body like in the sleeping bag, just so because they were they get in the tent no matter what you do. Somehow some will find their way in the tent. Anyways, I have a tent. I'm gonna bring all that stuff, but I also am going to be setting up my car so that I can potentially just sleep in there. So I found out the back seats fold down almost completely flat, and I laid down in there and I fit if my feet go into the boot. But I just would bring like a sleeping pad and a couple blankets, and it's nice and cozy. But I need to make some curtains or like something to block the windows, because like I don't want someone just like walking up to the car and looking in at me. That would be kind of creepy. So that's my next project. Just right now I'm trying to figure out what fabric I want to use. I'm gonna be using magnets to attach the fabric to like around the windows, and then that means if I want to sleep with the window slightly cracked but let like a tiny bit of breeze in, I want the fabric to be breathable so that it's like, you know, completely sealed, but a little bit of breeze can get in. I don't know if that makes sense. So I'm looking for the perfect fabric. If anyone has any suggestions, it has to be, I don't want it to really be see-through that much because that would defeat the purpose, but it has to be breathable. And I don't need to worry about insulation right now because it is summer. And even though it gets a little chilly sometimes, I would just sleep with the windows up if it was chilly. And my sleeping bag is really warm. But if it's warm out, that's when I would put the windows down a little. Yeah, so any seamstresses out there have any advice? I don't own a sewing machine, but I do have like this handheld sewing thing. It like, if I squeeze the handle or press the button on the handle, it sews in a straight line. I don't know if it almost looks like a clamp, and it like, so I put the fabric here and it clamps down and then I can sew something. So it's really minimal, like really basic stuff. So anyways, that's a little project that's going on. I have a few weeks before I leave, but I'm gonna be going to a few different spots for sure, and then the rest is like just up in the air. And I don't know how many days yet. Wolfie will be home with the kitties, so I'm not worried about that. I mean, I'm gonna miss them so much though, so I don't want my trip to be too long. But it's really, the whole idea of the freedom of that trip is what excites me. I used to do this all the time in Colorado, just like head up to the mountains with no plan, or maybe just like a little bit of a plan, and just go wherever called to me. And that was even before I was painting and stuff. Like, now that I paint a lot on my trips, I'm even more excited because just capturing the beauty in person. Yeah, I get intimidated by like the idea, like I'll never be able to do it justice, but it's just so fun to sit in those beautiful spots and just do this, which is why I wanted to do this. Just like get that, not worry about it. Keep my sketches like really loose. Because a lot of times like I'll sit down somewhere to paint or draw and I only want to be there for like 20 minutes and then I move on to the next spot. So really quick, loose sketches is what it's all about. One of the places I'm planning on going is this beautiful waterfall just on the side of a mountain, and the mountain obviously like slopes down and all along the side of the mountain, so several miles, there's this cascading waterfall. And in some areas the waterfall is much taller than me, and it just like falls down these little cliffs, and then there's like lots of little pools, and then it falls down the next cliff, and it just keeps going and going and going, and it's just so insanely gorgeous. And I've only ever been there in the off season, so either like late fall or even winter, and I've painted there a few times, but never was able to spend a lot of time there. So this time I'm gonna take my time, I'm gonna hike up as far as I can, as far as my energy will take me, and do lots of little sketches along the way, and take more photos this time, take more videos, and maybe, oh, and definitely fly my drone, because I really want to see, I've never been to the top. I don't know how far up like the epic waterfall part goes, so I really want to go like fly up, kind of see what's happening, and then if there's a really amazing spot, I'll actually try to hike up there maybe. Although there's the whole trail, it's not even really a trail, it's like you're kind of off-roading it along like the edge of the waterfall. Really rocky and really boggy, so you need like waterproof hiking boots, or wellies even, and be really careful. So we'll see, but either way I'm just so excited, because that place like haunts my memory in a good way. I think about it almost every day actually, at one point or another. I'll insert a couple clips here for you guys to see, because I have a few. But other than that, I have a few spots along the coast that I want to visit, and we'll see how it goes. I definitely want to sit on the coast or on like the edge of a loch for sunset or sunrise a couple of the days. Okay, so I'm done with this little sketch. We're gonna move on to maybe some gouache. Just suddenly felt like doing a little purple shadow on this one. I just put pizza in the oven, reheating some amazing pizza, so I decided I don't want to start the gouache just yet. And then picked up the purple color pencil. It's like, yeah. Also, I couldn't get it out of my mind that I had a like this rich, deep blue color somewhere, and I dug through my drawers and I found it. It's not ultramarine, but it is a helio reddish, so basically a phthalo blue leaning towards purple, I guess. So I thought I would give it a try on some of these waves. For like a little bit more depth and movement towards the shore. I think this needs a tiny bit of like sand color. Just on the edge there. Oop. Pizza's ready. Okay, that pizza was delicious. And as I was eating, I was thinking about the solstice. We had the most amazing sunset. I really should clean my gouache caps. They're so mucked up. I think I'll go with my big brush for this. The sunset was absolutely beautiful that day, so that's what the focus will be. Kind of like that exaggerated effect in the sky. There's like really streaky clouds, which are a lot of fun to photograph and to paint. Like the bold marks, or the bold angles. I didn't put enough gouache on my palette. This is a river scene, by the way. Or it will be. Then, okay, I think we're dry now. And now let's see. Gonna do like some of the river bank on the right side, I guess. Staying in the playful mindset, and just exploring different colors and mark making. I think that's one of the best things I can do for myself as an artist, is lots of these playful studies, because for me personally, this is how I learn. This is how I learn what I like and what I don't like, and what works and what doesn't. And yeah, it's like I get questions about how, in my tutorials or other posts or videos, people ask me like, how did I know I wanted to do that color background? Or why did I choose that specific color for the highlights or whatever? And I don't know. That's the thing. Until I do it, I don't know. And if I do lots of playful studies like this, I slowly get a sense for what works, what I like, and what I want to keep playing with in my paintings, in my studies. So it's definitely a slow, ongoing process. I don't know, like you just gotta try things. And not be afraid to mess up. And I mean, I think that's the best part about keeping a sketchbook is like, it's your safe space to try things and just explore a medium or multiple mediums. Also, I have to comment on the fact that because this is hot press paper, I'm getting all these super lovely, beautiful bleeds. And the marks just flowed so smoothly. Oh, I just love that. And this is just gouache. I haven't used any watercolor yet. It's just really watered down gouache, and obviously that does its own thing. Watered down gouache acts a little bit differently. Usually it's just more, it's a little heavier, so it doesn't flow quite as much. But you can use that to your advantage. And like in this case, I'm doing these trees, and if this was watercolor, it might these bleeds might have flowed all the way down to the bottom of the page, which wouldn't have worked as well. But because it's gouache, it's a little heavier. It doesn't move quite as much in water. I get those like more solid reflections, you know? Anyways, yeah. But I never knew that until I did it a lot of times, until I played with that effect in my sketchbook a lot. So. Just playing, I don't know, like if I want this to be quite as warm on the bank, so I'm adding my warm bright colors just to get those on, and then I'll come back with some more subtle neutral tones, I think, because I want this one overall to be a little bit more neutral. I mean, this part's popping because that's the sunset. That was the point of painting this. So this part, I don't want it to be quite as like distracting. Drinking my cold coffee now. I just pretend that I made cold coffee and then it's okay. For my trip, so far, as I've been doing this, I've been thinking what I'll probably do is bring my portable painter micro palette with watercolor. So I have a little bit of watercolor. I'll bring a couple of my pens because I just love doing line and wash, and I'll bring like 5 colored pencils and a couple of my white markers so I can, you know, do whatever highlights or something if I want. And then a couple brushes, and all of that combined, oh, sorry. And then of course I want to bring a little bit of gouache. So either I'm going to bring, I can't decide if I want to bring like a slightly larger palette for my gouache or just my second micro palette. So as that gets closer, I may do another video, or obviously when the time comes and I'm sharing all that footage, you'll see what I brought. But as I've been doing this, I just love this feeling of like I can jump from any medium I want. I can throw some watercolor in, some gouache, some ink, and it's just so fun and free. And like when I'm out there on the coast or wherever I'm gonna be, and I have this little pouch with me and I can just like pull out my items, and I always end up like putting them around me on the grass or wherever I'm sitting, and just have the total freedom of choice. that is luxury. That is like just so much fun. And who knows, maybe I won't end up using all of it, but having the option is like, it does. If I don't have the option, I start stressing like about whether I made a mistake in what I brought, or I'm like, I don't know, like it's like a totally mental thing. Like I feel restricted somehow. I don't know if any of this makes sense. And I don't like to feel restricted in my art. If the mood strikes and I'm thinking, oh, that would have been perfect with watercolor, if I don't have that with me, it just gets to me. But I know no matter what I bring, I'll make the most of it. Some lovely dry brush on top of this. I wonder if you would consider this a glaze. I kind of consider it a glaze. A glaze as in like I'm coming back on top of my existing layers with a thin down layer of something. There's lots of gorse that grows on the shore. So I want to have a couple dots of that and a few rocks. This is definitely an experimental color palette. It's so earthy. I mean, if you look at these side by side, so different. But this, to me, gives me that feeling of being out really, really late on the solstice. Okay, I think I'll let this dry, and then while that's drying, play in my cold press sketchbook. I'm having a lot of fun with this sketchbook because it's portrait orientation, like long vertical. So I can do a horizontal piece that goes across both pages or just one page, but also do these fun tall pieces. Zoom out a little. These really fun tall portraits, and I did a couple little ones just to experiment, but that's a lot of fun in this because it's so different than what I'm used to. I'm used to like the skinny horizontal ones. Yeah, I like that. And I'm definitely gonna bring this sketchbook and maybe do some really tall ones like this again. And this is mostly watercolor so far. Actually, have I used gouache? I don't think I've even used gouache. No. I mean, there's a tiny bit of white splatter on this one, but so far just watercolor. Because it's cotton, cold pressed paper, the watercolor just works beautifully. So I kind of I'm drawn to it for that reason. I mean, I love all that texture so much. And then the way, of course, the watercolor just bleeds and flows on the paper. It's wonderful. So one thing that if you ever get stuck and you feel like, okay, I really want to just play, I want to be free and creative in my sketchbooks, I have a pinned board on Pinterest called Fantastic Sketchbooks, and it's just things that I see whenever I come across them and they just like jump out at me like, oh, that's so cool. I just save it on here. So it gives me such a boost of inspiration, and it's not like you should or need to copy what you see. It's just meant to kind of open your mind to what you could do in your sketchbook. Like if you feel stuck with painting in a solid square in your sketchbook or whatever, just looking at the creative freedom that some people have is really, really helpful. So, you know, doing like swatches next to your botanical study, or lots of elements overlapping, or like this street scene with, which is absolutely beautiful, but then these little people studies on the side. I think that's really great. And, you know, writing on top of your drawing, or writing and then drawing on top of it. So kind of fluid in that way. Or I don't know, even just painting your materials, which is really cool. I've seen that a lot, or even your breakfast or something. So it's just a really fun, if you just need like a quick boost, this is a great exercise to get you kind of warmed up, I suppose, or get your mind opened a little bit. I love how this one has like the close-up of the flowers, those studies, and then on the right, I'm assuming it's talking about that location or something with a little landscape in the distance. Like, that's so creative. So yeah, I mean, there's nothing wrong with having a full page of a painting, but doing stuff like this is also, I think this is what helps capture the sense of a place even better, because it's like a very personal reflection on what you're seeing or what you experienced. Also, you gotta love the double page spread. You gotta love the painting that goes over both pages. Oh, I love it. So immersive. So if you want to follow that, I'll put the link in the description, but I encourage you to make your own board or wherever you save things, just to keep the juices flowing, you know? Just give yourself permission to have fun with it, play. Although I will caution you that sometimes looking at those boards, you can get into this spiral where you just keep looking, you keep scrolling, you keep absorbing, and you never actually do the thing. I've been there plenty of times. So what I suggest is setting an alarm, like 5 or 10 minutes. Set an alarm. As soon as that alarm goes off, you shut your phone off, no matter what. Just do it. And then maybe even go for a walk and let the things that you looked at kind of sink in and start thinking about what you want to paint, what you want to capture. Something that helps me is, like, I did this when I got home from a plein air painting trip, which I shared the video about that recently. So I did this, I think that later that night when I was just sitting on the couch hanging out with Wolfie, and this was a memory of that place. And obviously it's very fantastical, like exaggerated, but doing something like after the fact, even if you meant to paint a lot at that location, but maybe you didn't, or you didn't capture it the way you wanted to, and letting it kind of brew in your mind a little bit before you actually sit down and paint it from home is kind of fun, because then certain things are going to stand out in your memory. That's what you're going to capture, and that's going to help those memories live on. Because obviously this is I wasn't sitting in the ocean looking at this view. Like, this is a made up thing in my head, but I captured the elements that I remember. So it's just a thought. So I'm definitely gonna be doing that for my trip. Like, I'll be painting a lot on my trip, but when I get home, I'm gonna do lots of these kind of memory studies, because these are the things that tend to turn into my bigger paintings. These studies, I guess I would call them, although they're not technically a study because it's of my memory. But these are the ones that speak directly from, like, within me. So yeah, like, this could potentially become a big canvas, which I would love to do that. So anyways, I don't know if any of that made sense, but I really want to do something very flowy. Something that I see a lot on the West Coast is like jagged cliffs and rocks that kind of, they overlap each other as they go into the distance. So there's like a lot of atmospheric perspective going on. So I might do a little study of that, maybe even a double page spread. Although I'm a little intimidated staring at this blank page. I hate this feeling. It's like, no, just do it. Just get it out of your head. Just do it. So I may just sit here and kind of ponder some of my West Coast memories, and then maybe bring up like 1 or 2 references. So I think I'm going to start off with a pen sketch, because that forces me to stay loose and just let it flow. And then I'll throw some watercolor down and then just kind of see where it goes from there. So this is going to be based on my last trip to the West Coast. So yeah, big skies, big water, big rocks and cliffs, and then we'll just see about color as it unfolds. I was thinking about how I was watching a video of a travel vlogger, I don't know what you call them, and she was saying like how at home she feels in the desert, and that's like the complete opposite of me. I hate the desert, honestly. I need forests and mountains or coast or something. But I just thought that was fascinating. I'm like, wow, it is so true how some people just, they're at home in a certain environment that I might feel like a total alien in, and same goes for them. So just embrace who you are. Don't know what location this is based on, but this memory is like really strong in my head. This is probably closer to the workflow I would have when I'm sketching outside. So like really gestural, loose ink before doing lots of splashy watercolor. Lately I've been trying to do watercolor first and then ink, but it doesn't always translate. Or it doesn't always, it doesn't feel as easy, or what am I trying to say? When I do that, it doesn't feel as natural, I guess because I'm not used to doing it, but one thing that is good if you do that is like you're less likely to stick to, if you want your watercolors to be really flowy and loose, do them before you do the line work, because if you do the line work first, you're more likely to stick to that line work. But I just come from a place where I'm stronger in drawing, and I always think about drawing first. Even if I don't draw before I paint, I'm always thinking in drawing terms. So when I do this, it just feels really natural. I don't know. Yeah, you probably get what I'm saying, right? I hope so. Okay. There's definitely gonna be like mountains or something in the distance, but I might just paint those in, and then I might come back with more ink. I've got my big mop brush. This thing is juicy. Actually, a little higher than that. I never paint my horizon crooked or straight. It's always crooked. And I actually thought about calling my blog The Crooked Horizon. I should have waited for this ink to dry a little bit longer. Oh well. It's waterproof, but you have to wait for it to actually dry. I knew it was going to be an issue in that center. The seam, I mean, because yeah, the cliffs or the mountains in the distance, I think. Okay, that's better. I think for the sky, I'm just gonna do some loose clouds. because it's always like gray clouds somewhere in the distance, right? A stormy touch to those. Just gonna see if I can capture like the feeling of seeing down into the water up close. Yeah, definitely gonna have fun with this sketchbook outside. So hard to work over the seam in the center. I struggle with that. If you had to choose one type of landscape you were gonna live in and be around the rest of your life, what would it be? Like for me, forest. That's so easy. So basically you're not allowed to visit the coast or the mountains or the forest if you choose one or the other, you know? Like what would that landscape be for you? I would definitely miss the other types of places, but I just know I feel so at home in the forest. So I'd have to choose that. Let's see, what about these cliffs? Let's stick with a cooler color palette and just go with like a slightly muted phthalo-ish. Maybe touch in a bit of yellowish tones here and there. A little gouache because it like sits heavy in the watercolor. I like that effect. More olivey green. Some muted green in the foreground. Big brush strokes. The reason I went with muted green here is because this isn't the focus. This is just a supporting character, if you will. So by keeping more of the warmer, more saturated tones in this area, it kind of draws you into that. And what I'll do with the cliff color, I think, actually, before we go much farther, definitely want a bit of splash. So this is where I like to play with like the other tones I'm adding. So like there, that's representing all the little growies that you find, all the flowers or whatever in those cliff grasses. I zoomed out a little. I know it was a bit hard to see what I was doing, but this totally reminds me of being on Skye in this specific area near Dunvegan Castle, I believe it is. Just looking out over the water at the distant mountains, but you're on these like crazy intense cliff edges, and you know, you can just walk right up to the edge and look down and nothing's stopping you, just your common sense. So you feel very free there, but you have to have respect for what's around you. I think I want to go with like a purplish tone on the cliffs. For the shadows at least. You know me, green and purple. Apparently, got a thing for that. And then a bit of warmth here and there. Yeah, I kind of like that. It keeps it kind of muted, but adds just enough warmth to draw your attention there. Little shadow here and there. Gotta have some shadows on those cliffs. It's like, I guess this is a partly cloudy day. So there's a bit of warmth, but lots of shadow. Yeah. That's what I'll be going to see. We'll see how different it is when I paint it in person. Not that I'm going to a location. I don't know if I'm going to a location like this, but you know, they're out there. I'm sure I'll see a couple. And now I'll feel free to just jump into a painting. While that's drying, we'll look at the previous one. Because of course we have to have a tape peel. But before that, when I first glanced at it, I was thinking we need a tiny bit of highlight on the edge of these rocks. Man, it's like so subtle. Probably don't need it, but I want it. Now we can peel. Oh man, hot press paper tape peels are the best. It's just so crisp. is satisfying. Went a little outside the lines there, but that's okay. But I am very pleased with this playful session. Just thinking about how I don't feel stressed about it. Like I just feel excited. I just want to keep playing, but I need to go do some other work. So that'll have to wait for now. Let me know which of the sketches is your favorite. I'll give you a little close-up of some of the textures. And then of course, our big spread, big page. I think this is my favorite because it's larger and it makes me feel like I'm there, you know, like I feel like I'm standing on this cliff looking out over the water, and it gives me so much peace. So I could definitely do more to this one, but I think I'm gonna leave it just loose and not overwork it, basically. Yeah, I hope you guys enjoyed this session, and feel free to chat with me in the comments about whatever you've been thinking about. I always love hearing from you guys, so thank you, and I will see you again soon. Take care, everyone.